Testing 10 million. We're going to get started here, guys, gals. My name is JJ Harrison, if you don't know me. If you know me, my name is JJ. It's JJ either way. I'm very excited about tonight. We've got a lot of good speakers here tonight. Ash is here. When people talk about multifamily investing, you normally think of apartments. And Ash is actually a national expert on investing in other commercial properties that are not multifamily. I know a lot of people that know him. Everyone that I've talked to says he is very intelligent, very sharp, and that he gives them good advice. I've never heard another client that I know say anything other than positive things about Ash. So he's going to be the first speaker tonight, and I'm really excited to hear what he has to say. But he is very well known, not just in Cincinnati, but nationally on alternative investments besides apartments. And then Attorney Chris Finney, this is his building. He has an office in Eastgate as well. He just bought a law firm in Northern Kentucky. And his claim to fame is he won 3 times in front of the U.S. Supreme Court, 9-0. But actually what impresses me more than that is, again, in the way in which people speak about him. I had a client that has 1,000 doors. I'm a commercial real estate broker mostly. I also own real estate myself. And this client had a problem post-closing. And he called me and asked me what to do. And I said, well, call the attorney that handled the transaction. He called the attorney that handled the transaction, and that attorney told him to call Chris Finney. So ever since then, that's what always has impressed me about him. And then I started exclusively using Ivy Point Title, unless the buyer tells me differently. Because what they do is they have an attorney handle the transaction from A to Z, not someone that used to work at McDonald's. When you do a commercial, I'm serious, when you do a commercial transaction, you can ask the other competitors, is my file handled by anybody else besides a licensed attorney? And they'll tell you, yeah. But with a Finney law firm, only an attorney will handle your file when you do a commercial real estate deal, and that's very important. And the other speaker we have is Fred. He's going to talk about nuisance properties after that. Then we should be good. I just want to say hello to a few people in the audience. If I don't mention you, either I don't like you or I don't remember you. So Destiny, the gorgeous girl there, she's a she's a residential loan officer, and she can do 1 to 4 family loans. So if you're house hacking, if you are looking for a single family home or a duplex, a triplex, or a 4-unit, she can help you. She's very good. I've used her. I've recommended her to people. I mostly do larger units, but I have used her. They're very happy with her. So if you have any interest in a residential mortgage, Destiny's your girl. Rebecca is very good at filling an apartment complex. I've seen her fill with quality tenants at good rents. I've seen her fill entire apartment complexes. So if you need a tenant and you just don't have the time to do it or you don't want to do it, Rebecca is a great resource for filling an apartment complex. So I'm going to turn it over to Ash, and then he's going to talk, and then we'll go to Chris Finney next. Okay?
Thank you. Hey, guys, thank you. Do me a favor, give it up for JJ and Chris and their entire team that puts this together. They're passionate about making sure you guys learn and get ahead. They're taking time out of their evenings to do this. So let's hear it for them one time, please. So my name is Ash Patel. My company is called Invest Beyond Multifamily. I started 15 years ago with a single $230,000 building here in Clifton. And the last time we checked, it was $50 million of assets that we control throughout the Midwest and the Southeast. I want to get to know you guys a little bit. How many people here invest in residential, whether it's apartments, single families, Airbnbs? How many have never done their first deal? And what do the rest of you guys invest in that didn't raise their hands? Commercial. Okay, good. The residential folks, who here has a goal on the number of doors that they want to own? All right. have you guys that have residential properties, have you ever had a tenant ask if they can remodel their bathroom? And they'll pay for it. Yes, you have? Oh, wow. Have you guys ever had a tenant that spent $30,000 putting a new HVAC system in your building? All right, so this is our world. Just last year, we had O'Reilly's Auto put $2 million into renovating one of our buildings. They did new roof, new HVAC, new floor, new lighting, new fire suppression. I'm going to show you guys our world and hopefully inspire you a little bit to get into that. The beauty of commercial real estate is our tenants will often improve your property on their dime. So I'm going to share my journey over the last 15 years and the lessons that I've learned. I've got 15 lessons over the, what's that?
That won't work for you.
You're welcome to use mine.
Okay.
So, sorry, I'm going to share 15 lessons that I've learned over the last 15 years in investing in commercial real estate. So this was the very first building. Can you guys see that? I'll move around so I'm not in your way. This was the very first building I bought here in Clifton, the Ravine Street Market. If anybody went to UC, this is probably where you bought your beer when you're underage. Anybody? I'm going to tell you how I bought this building and why. For 15 years prior to getting into real estate, my wife and I were W-2 employees, and every year we'd go to our accountant and we'd say, hey, how do we reduce our taxes? We're getting killed. And this grumpy old man wouldn't even look up from his desk, and he would just say, if you make it, you pay it. And I'm like, come on, there's got to be a better way, right? I always heard real estate was a great way to offset taxes, but I didn't even know how depreciation was calculated. So I figured, okay, let me go buy a building, and let's see what happens. The reason I bought this building is a really dumb reason, is because the store was on the first floor, and they had 2 years left on their lease. I thought, okay, as soon as that lease is over, I'll put somebody in there, and I'll have an additional source of income and revenue from managing this store, right? That was my mentality, while I kept my W-2. So I buy this building, and these brick chimneys, they're on both sides of the building. Anytime it was windy outside, bricks would be falling 3 stories down on the sidewalk that the students are walking on. So I had to put a lot into rehabbing this building. Once I got it all rehabbed, I was all proud of myself. First rehab I've ever done. And I knew college started mid-August. So I had these apartments ready to go by July. And nobody rented any of these apartments. I forgot from my own college days that you sign your leases the previous semester for the fall class, right? So I sat empty for an entire semester. Nonetheless, finally got it rented. And all the big weekends, holiday weekends, party weekends, I'd get phone calls from the tenants, and they'd say, hey, the toilet's not working, the sink's clogged, there's a mysterious hole in the wall that I don't know how it happened. So I would, load up my car with whatever tools I owned. I'd go down there and figure out what the issue was. Well, one day, on a weekend, I was up there, and over here, you could see the roof of the store overhangs a little bit. I'm unclogging a tenant's toilet. I look out the window. There's an HVAC company that's replacing all of the store's rooftop units. So, a bit of a panic. I go downstairs to the store owner, and I said, hey, what's going on? He says, well, listen, man, our AC went out, so we're just replacing the entire system. $30,000 he spent. He only had 2 years left on his lease. Put $30,000 into my building. And I'm like, wow, okay. So as I'm walking out quickly, he's like, hey, Ash, hold on. Do you mind if we remodel our bathroom? I'm like, I'm waiting for cameras to come out because I thought this was a reality show. There's no way this is real life, right? And I'm like, yeah, man, have at it. And I leave real quick, and I look at the lease when I get home, and I'm like, oh, my God. He's responsible for exterior lighting, parking lot, all of his own mechanicals, all his plumbing, everything. And I thought, wait a minute, why would anybody invest in residential when all they do is cause headaches and wear and tear, and the commercial tenants are putting money into your building? So that was a pivotal moment in my life. It changed the trajectory of what I'm doing. I dropped everything and became a full-time commercial real estate investor. That was about 15 years ago. So the lessons that I learned, a couple big ones on this one. Obviously, the commercial tenants improve your property, but I ultimately ended up selling this building to that store owner. And I've done this maybe a dozen times where if you own a commercial building, you look at whatever rent, let's say your biggest tenant is paying, you could find the number that you could sell them the building for, and it's always a win-win. They will end up paying less every month for owning the building, and you will get higher than market price for selling the building. I'm doing this right now with another building in Milford. So think about that, right? Your tenants, and even in residential, I would imagine that's probably the case. Is that right? You could sell, and they're probably paying an inflated rent to cover all of your expenses, mortgage, and profits. So think about that. Selling your property to your tenant is typically the easiest transaction for the most money, and it's a win-win. Here's the next building. So I bought a few in between, but there's a couple good lessons here. Wing Eye Care building on the west side. Friday night, this listing comes live, and they advertised $117,000 NOI, and they wanted $650,000 for this building. But they also said it's full triple net. And what that means is that tenants are responsible for parking lot, roof, taxes, insurance. You have almost no out-of-pocket expenses. So $117,000 net operating income, this should have been a $1.1 million building. But it was a residential realtor that listed it for $650,000. Saturday morning, it was too late to call Friday night, so Saturday morning, I stayed up all night researching the property, the history, the tenants, the neighborhood. Soon as it was okay to start calling, I tracked down this realtor. I'm like, hey, is this really a triple net building? Tenants pay for all this stuff? Yeah. All right, I'll buy it. What do you mean you'll buy it? I'm like, I want to buy it. Have you seen it? No. Well, drive by, and my office is down the street. We'll sign a contract. Sunday night, we had an executed contract, not for $650, the asking price, for $625. I got $25,000 off what was already a great deal. And Monday morning, he calls me. He's like, man, I screwed up. I'm like, what happened? He's like, well, I got flooded with phone calls, $800,000 cash offers, well over asking. And I'm like, yeah, sorry. He's like, well, yeah, he's like, listen, I screwed up. Let's just keep doing deals together. Let's go, baby. So the lessons learned on this one. First mover advantage creates wins. I see a lot of people, they rely on broker relationships or the emails that come into their inbox with the new properties. How many emails is that going out to, right? You guys have to create your own wins. Be creative. Residential realtors are the best when they list commercial properties because they don't know how to price them very often. JJ, you know what I'm talking about? Right? So in this deal, somebody inherited the Wing Eye Care building, called his college roommate from 30 years ago, who's a realtor, and said, hey, I got this commercial building. Can you sell it for me? Oh, yeah, no problem. Big mistake, right? This is where you guys can capitalize on these mistakes. Here's another interesting one. So this is coming out of the 2008 recession. This was an Ace Hardware, opened for less than 6 months, and they went bankrupt. So the building was being sold by a court receiver, and they were asking $500,000 for it. This is in Union Township on 125. So I wanted this building for whatever reason, and 15,000 square feet for $500,000 is what they were asking. I made an offer for $400,000, but I knew there was going to be a bunch of other lowball offers. How do I get the attention of the decision maker? So I also included a $100,000 earnest money check. It doesn't mean much to me because you get it back, right? But it gets attention, and I've done that a number of times. It will get attention, and even your lowball offer, somebody will respond. So I made the offer, right away get a phone call, and the guy was sharp. He's like, all right, tough guy, here's the deal. We'll take your offer. We'll sign at $400,000. You have until the end of the year to close. It was December 3rd already. You have until the end of the year to close, or we're keeping your $100,000 and the deal's off. So you got holidays coming up. I mean, bankers slow down a little bit, title companies slow down a little bit. I called the title company, called the lender. I'm like, hey guys, can we do the loan? Can we close by the end of the year? Yes, we got it done. So the lessons here: large earnest money, always interesting tactic, but treat your lenders, attorneys, title companies, even the tradespeople that work for you, treat them as partners, right? You know, I see this a lot in multifamily where people treat their lenders and their attorneys as commodities. If somebody's offering them a quarter point lower interest, they're gone. Well, what happens when you find that great deal and maybe you're spread a little too thin already and no lender wants to give you the loan? This is where you go back to your relationships and the lenders that you've used in the past and you call in favors, right? The tradespeople, you guys remember when times are booming, you can't call an electrician, no one's coming out, plumbers are hard to get a hold of. We've never had a problem calling a tradesperson because we treat them as partners, not as commodities. What was also interesting about this property, when I signed a tenant on a 5-year lease, I had an alarm installer come out. And I remember he was on the ladder, I was holding the ladder up, and he asked me, he's like, what do you want the alarm code to be, to disarm it? I said, I'm gonna let the tenant pick. I don't want any part of that. Like, I don't want to know the code, right? I don't want to be responsible for anything. So the guy just got done telling me he's lived in that neighborhood, drives by there every day, saw this building vacant for 5 years. Multiple brokers had tried to lease it. He comes down off the ladder, gets in my face, and he's like, wait a minute, you're telling me you found a tenant for this building? I said, yeah. He said, okay, your only job is to do everything you can to make sure they're successful. I'm like, damn, all right, I got it. And that was really important. It was great advice that my entire company's always adhered to. So to this day, we'll do happy hours at our house for our tenants, all of our commercial tenants. You know, if we have an expert in one building at social media, we'll have them give a quick 15-minute talk, and then it's just a lot of eating and drinking and partying into the night. But we build a sense of community with our commercial tenants. The reason for that is, one, we want them to know that we're always going to be there to support them. Two, when it comes time to increase their rents or renew their lease, they feel really good about their landlord. Now think about residential for a second. Would you guys ever invite the entire apartment complex to your house for happy hour? No. Hell no, right? No. All right, so this is another one. This was a building in Mainville, coming out of the 2008 recession as well. Builder took out a $2 million loan to build this. He ran out of money, bank cut his credit line. Building sat half finished for years. Ended up buying this one, and the way I got this, I watched it for a while, and all of a sudden there was a big price drop. I'm like, oh my, this is too good to be true. So I call the listing realtor, I email him, call his office, no response. I'm like, damn, this is probably like an inside job. They're gonna sell it to one of their buddies. So I still wanted the building. I found an old Google Maps photo where right here there was a different realtor sign from many years ago. That was the only thing I had to go on. So I called this guy, and his name was Scott, oh God, old school realtor, really good guy. I'll think of his last, Scott Sennett. Scott Sennett was his name. Call Scott, and I said, hey, I got a question about this building in Mainville, gave him the address, and he's like, well, that's not my listing. I'm like, I know, but you had it in the past. Okay, like what can I do for you? Well, they just had a big price drop, and I want to buy it. He's like, who's the listing realtor? And I said, Jack. So he was like, oh, I know Jack. I'm like, well, I want to buy this. Can I get Jack's number? And he says, can I represent you? I said, I don't need representation. I just want Jack's number. He said, can I represent you? Yes, you can. So he's like, come to my office. Drop what I'm doing, go to his office. And he's like, tell me the backstory, blah, blah, blah. And he was on a first name basis with Jack, picks up his phone and says, call Jack. Not even a last name. Jack picks up, and Scott's like, hey, I got a guy who's going to buy your Mainville building. Oh, no, 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 I'm selling this to Donnie. Donnie, we reduced the price so Donnie could buy it. No, 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 I'm selling it to my guy. We're going to pay $1 over ask, and that's that. And I don't know what kind of pull this guy had over Jack, but we got the building, right? So just because something's under contract, the broker's not returning your call, these deals are yours to lose, right? When you find a great deal, it's yours to lose. Somebody else is going to work to get it. Why not you? Someone else is going to be tenacious. This is whether it's a single-family home, an Airbnb, A great deal is yours to lose. Another great lesson I learned in this building, it was vacant when I bought it. So as we started getting tenants in there, I started asking the existing tenants, hey, and they're all from the neighborhood, do you know any other tenants or any other people that want to start a business or move their business to this building? Oh yeah, let me reach out. I've owned this building for over 10 years, and anytime we've had a vacancy, I email our existing tenants, and they want to control who their neighbors are, who their co-tenants are. So use that, whether it's apartments or whatever, right? Great tactic. Now, you've seen already, I started out with retail, mixed use, got into office, all of these different commercial assets. They have their own little nuances, but we'll get to this later. The fundamentals of value-add commercial real estate are all the same. Here's another one. This is in downtown Milford. This building, I was looking at bizbuysell.com for real estate. No interest in buying business. But BizBuySell has a lot of listings where they say manufacturing business for sale, and we'll include the real estate. This one was bar restaurant for sale. Real estate could be bought too. Okay, well, call the business broker. And he's like, yeah, you know, this was a great bar. It was called MJ's. But the owner wanted to sell. He wanted to retire. Not true. One night, this guy's from New York, and I'm from Jersey, so I get it. This guy that owned the bar pissed his staff off so bad on a Saturday night. During service, they all left. Their coats were still hung up. Drinks were still in the bar for 2 years, right? Bottles were still there, ready to serve. The bar had been closed for 2 years, had a terrible reputation. So I had to explain to this business broker, there's no value in buying the name MJ's. There's no value in anything other than the real estate and the liquor license. So he then understood, had to go back to his seller and convince him that no one's going to reopen under the name MJ's. All the furniture and stuff is going to be tossed out. So we ended up buying this building for $450,000. This is in downtown Milford, and at the time, one of the hottest suburbs around. It was absolutely on fire. The brewery was coming in. Day after closing, I got the keys, and I go in there, open it up, and all the neighboring bar restaurant owners start coming by, and they're like, hey, who are you? Like, what are you doing here? I'm like, hey, my name's Ash. What's your name? I just bought the building. They're like, how? How'd you buy it? I'm like, what do you mean, how did I buy it? Like, we were waiting for this to hit the market. Shame on you, right? They waited. So look where no one else is looking when you're looking for great deals. When you're looking on the MLS or LoopNet or Crexy, how many other eyes are on there? Yes, if you have first mover advantage, at least in commercial, that works. I know in multifamily, a lot of brokers will do best and final, maybe another best and final, call for offers. In our world, there's no best and final. I've seen it once in 15 years. So if you find a great deal, you make a legitimate offer, negotiate it, sign a contract, you're done. I can't tell you how many deals I've called on, maybe a couple hours after they were listed, and the broker would say, well, yeah, we just signed it under contract. I'll give you more money. Like, what can I do? Well, no, we signed a contract. I'll call you if it falls through. So I love that about non-residential commercial. And we always look for mispriced, mismarketed, and mismanaged deals. Any questions so far? Yeah.
How do you get commercial tenants?
Yeah, great question. So historically, I've always done it on my own. I didn't want to pay a broker. I was being stupid at the time. But there was a time where I thought, you know what, I made it. I'm big time. I'm just going to hire it out. It doesn't always work. So for small offices, you're not going to be able to get a broker to be interested enough to market it, right? You have to look at the commission structure. If it's a 30,000 square foot retail building, by all means, you need a broker because you need their relationships. Plus, they're going to earn hundreds of thousands in commission for that. So they're going to work very hard. If it's something just really unique, you have to put the legwork in. So believe it or not, the tenants that I got for that Ace Hardware building, I had brokers working on it for 6 months. They had me pay for all these lists. They actually picked the phone up and called a lot, and no traction. I did not renew the contract after the 6 months. I put it on Craigslist, maybe like 30 different Craigslists, Ohio, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Illinois, Kentucky, Indiana, and just hit the big cities. There was a guy from Detroit that owned ProCam camera. He's like, yeah, I saw your thing. My wife's parents live in Cincinnati. I want to see your building. So it was, a $2 Craigslist listing that got tenants there. So when we have a commercial vacancy, even if we give it to the broker, we will use Facebook Marketplace, we'll use Craigslist, we'll also get on the local Facebook page for that town and say, hey guys, girls, what would you like to see in this location? Oh, we'd love to see a steakhouse, or this would work great, a dry cleaner, or daycare. Okay, awesome. Do you know anyone that has a business that would love to relocate here? And you get the town stirred up a little bit, right? We've also offered up to $20,000 commission for finding us a tenant on a specialty occasion like a bar, right? Someone that's going to be there for a long time, way cheaper than a broker. But we'll use brokers when it's appropriate. Just know that if it's not worth their while, all they're going to do is list it and move on. They're not going to do the same legwork that you would, right? Here's another interesting deal. This was a land deal. I got a call from a residential realtor in northern Kentucky. He's like, hey, I got 79 acres. That's a cattle farm. Any interest? I'm like, none, zero. Calls me again. Okay, look, man, what do I do? I got 79 acres, cattle farm. I'm like, all right, send me the address. We don't have an address. What do you mean? This place didn't have an address. It had coordinates, right? Just coordinates. So I've got a commercial mastermind, and there was a young kid that I used to mentor since he was in college. Over the years, he's grown up, became a civil engineer. His name is Dan Tamanko. I called Dan. I'm like, hey, this guy's blowing me up. 80 acres, that's a cattle farm in northern Kentucky. Gave him the coordinates. He looked up the map and the topography. He's like, he got off the phone abruptly. He's like, I'll call you back. And the next week, he set up meetings with the 5 biggest developers in the world. They all wanted this land, because what I didn't put together is it's not very far from CVG, right? But, so we ended up buying this property for $8 million. Sorry, not buying it. We put it under contract. And we were honest with the husband and wife who had this cattle farm in their house, or in their family, for generations. And we said, we'll help you facilitate the sale. And we kept them informed the entire way, all the developers that we met with. It ended up being a 2-year-long process. We had to give them money to live on because they sold all their cattle. We paid for their vacations because they were very gracious in allowing us to continuously extend this contract. And we had the county come in. They had to put bigger roads in, bigger sewers. We had to buy, it was a lot of work, easements. But the purchase was $8 million. We ended up selling it to the developers for $12.6 million. So a call that I disregarded at first, and then using the network that we've built, came back, made it a big win. So build a network of supportive professionals. And I don't know if you guys know this, but I've been a podcast host for many years, and I've interviewed so many people. 2 of the worst pieces of advice that I've ever gotten from numerous people. Before interest rates started going up, everybody, when I said, hey, what's your best advice to the audience? Go bigger, faster. Go bigger, faster. Look at where some of these superstars ended up now. They're losing hundreds of millions of dollars of their investor capital. Meanwhile, people like us had FOMO, because it's like, wait a minute, why are we not as big as them? Because we were too afraid to go bigger, faster. Turns out that was the right thing to do. So anybody that says go bigger, faster, wrong. The other piece of advice was stick to one asset class. Stick to what you know. Okay, during different economic cycles, different assets ebb and flow differently, right? Industrial is one of the last to come back after a recession. Right now, multifamily is taking a big hit. We'll talk about retail here in a second. How am I doing on time? You're good. Okay. I'll speed up a little bit. You guys know this guy, right? Joe Fairless? one of the goats of multifamily, maybe not? Okay. So I'm going to maybe skip around a little bit, but 2014, it was hard for me to find deals, and it just seemed like things were drying up. But I look around, and I see a lot of people in residential killing it. They're building their teams, and I'm like, what am I doing wrong? I know I'm a different asset class, but I realize, my wife and I would go out to dinner with people, and this is 4 or 5 years after I left my IT career. People would say, hey, Ash, how's the IT world? Oh, it's great. How are you doing? I wouldn't even correct people and tell them I'm in commercial real estate. Shame on me, right? And I realized what I was doing wrong was living in this little bubble in my office and not sharing with the world what I'm doing, what I'm looking for, how I can help other people. So I put myself out there a lot on social media, and everything changed. Deals started coming in. People would schedule lunches, get invited to speak. So anybody that's anybody here that's a real estate investor, you owe it to yourself to put yourself out there in social media. If you have a W-2 and you don't want your employer to know that you're doing this side hustle, start a company name and do your social media under the company name. Anybody not on social media with their real estate? Anybody not want to raise their hands because they don't want to admit it? All right, so this guy, he ended up having $3 billion of apartments under management. And we've become really good friends over the last 10 or so years. But every time I did a deal, he would always ask me, hey, did you raise money for it? I'm like, no, I didn't raise money. All right, why not? Oh, I got it. I can handle it. Did you raise money for it? He got so tired of asking, did you raise money for it? Every time I did a deal, he would just say, hey, should have raised money. And turns out, I would lie to myself and him and say, look, there's a sweet spot of like deals under $1 million, and that's where all the money is. It turns out I was too afraid to raise capital from others. And I realized, Joe one time said, if you master your craft, you owe it to your friends and family to share your deals with them. And to me, that still wasn't enough. I did not ever want to lose somebody else's money. So what changed for me was I saw a lot of my high net worth friends, they would invest in bars, marijuana companies, and crypto schemes, and none of them ever made their money back. So that's what was a trigger for me to realize if I let these guys and girls into my deals, I'd be doing them a favor. So all along, I kept doing these $1 million deals, or sub-$1 million deals, and then once I took on investor capital, this was our very next purchase, $5 million strip mall in Fairfield. We bought this in 2022. So the very beginning of 22, just a few months before the fastest interest rate hike in the history of this country. The series of hikes that decimated a lot of people, right? We bought it just before, so if the timing could have ever been worse, this was it. Giant parking lot, we bought it, we sold 23 parking spots to a Scooter's Coffee for $480,000. 3.4 years later, and this is where O'Reilly's, they're there now. They just moved in less than a year ago, put $2 million into renovations there. So bought it for $5 million, sold 23 parking spots for $480,000, and sold the entire strip last June for $7.4 million. So in 3.4 years, we made $3 million. Our investors doubled their money in 3.4 years. So this is the power of doing bigger deals. And by the way, you're not going to believe this, but this one is easier to manage than our little office building, our 10,000 square foot office building. I got a call today about a hornet's nest there. These are triple net tenants, right? We never get calls from them. They handle everything. Anybody here invest passively in other people's deals? I'll make this really quick. So when you get to that point where you're going to invest in other people's deals, the biggest question to ask is how much money are you putting into the deal? There's a trick a lot of syndicators use, and they'll say, we're investing alongside of you in this deal. All they're doing is they're taking the fee money on the deal that you're giving them and putting it back into the deal. So on any of our deals, we usually put half the money up and raise the other half. So if they don't have enough skin in the game, they don't have the same incentive to make the deal work. They can walk away and just say, hey, sorry, didn't work out, but here's the next deal for you. We'll skip some of these, and you're welcome to email me. I'll send you the slides. All right, retail. Anybody have thoughts on retail? We lost some iconic brands since COVID, haven't we? Right? Any thoughts on retail? Malls are dying. Amazon effect. There's kind of a retail apocalypse going on. Everyone agree, right? Retail's got some struggles? All right. That's what the headlines want you to believe. So here's what the clickbait headlines don't tell you. Dollar General announced 450 stores opening. Tractor Supply, 100. Target's opening 11 stores this month, in July. Jersey Mike's, 450. I really cut this list down. Joseph A. Banks Men's Warehouse parent company, 500 stores they just announced today. Retail is the healthiest it's ever been in recorded history. But there's no headline, clickbait headline, that's going to say, hey, Burlington's opening 115 stores. It's not clickbait worthy. But Rite Aid just declared bankruptcy. Oh, that's, LinkedIn posts galore. Now here's the crazy thing. Warby Parker, you guys know who that is? Online only glasses, online only. They're opening 40 brick and mortars. Barnes & Noble's the first casualty from Amazon. They're back, baby. 60 stores they're opening this year. So don't take my word for it, right? Wall Street Journal, different headlines that don't get a lot of attraction because it's not clickbait. So here's a chart of retail rents versus vacancy. Red line is vacancy. You can see it's going down. Rents are going up. When's the last time you guys saw a new strip mall being built? Right? How many cranes do we have in Cincinnati right now building apartments nationwide? I've got some good metrics that I'm going to have to read from. So, next 12 months in the U.S., 500,000 more apartments coming online. Cincinnati, 3,000 units were delivered in 25. 4,000 units currently under construction in the Cincinnati MSA. Over 6,000 more are being proposed in Cincinnati. So I get it. These are Class A properties. Ash, I do value add, Class B, Class C. You're already seeing it where Class A rents are being pushed down because of the oversupply, not just in Cincinnati, but all over the country. What happens to Class B and C properties when the Class A's go down? If Class A rents are going down, how do Class B and C properties go up? Let's table that. But if multifamily rents are dropping, I'm pretty sure they all come down together. We'll come back to that if anybody wants to talk over a beer later. So, let me ask you guys this. A Class B multifamily property in Cincinnati, what does that trade for per unit? Anyone? Guess. I don't know the answer, but. Okay. Class B, 65. Class C, deferred maintenance, what would that trade for per unit on the west side? 40, 50, I don't know. But there's an answer that most people know, right? The apartment guys and girls know. So what that tells you is that apartments have become commoditized. They trade in a tight range. When brokers do a call for offers on big apartment buildings, all the offers are in a very tight range because they all use the same underwriting, right? Until that one person that's willing to overpay comes in and you lose the deal. With what we do, there's no trading range. You can have the same building, let's say it's a convenience store. Let's take a mom and pop coffee shop. Right next to it, maybe a half mile down, a Starbucks. There's $1 million difference in the price. Same building, same everything, same price of coffee. We operate in a very inefficient market. You can take that mom and pop coffee shop, once they leave, if you could sign a Starbucks to that, you just made $1.4 million. So, AI, right? Who uses AI? Everyone's hand's going to go up. It's all the rage, all the clickbait. So we had a professor from Stanford, California, and Oxford in London reach out to me, and they said, hey, we can use AI to find you commercial deals. And I said, yeah, I don't think so. Look, no, we can do it. We got this whole team of professors and students, and this is what we're focused on. I lent my team to them for a month, and they came back, and they said, we can't do it. Commercial real estate is too much of an inefficient market because there's no way, if you have a lease where it's triple net, but it says HVAC replacement is on the landlord, HVAC repair is on the tenant. How do you underwrite that? There's a lot of guesswork, right? If somebody has 3 years remaining on their lease, is that good or bad? Oh, let me make an extreme example. If somebody has a year remaining on their lease, is that good or bad? Bad. Well, maybe, but it could be really good if they're way below market, right? So then you could raise their rents or get somebody else in there. You can't train AI to do all of that, right? It takes muscle memory. Because of all of these nuances, there's a lot less competition in what we do. Rarely do we ever have to compete on offers for commercial real estate. So, still okay on time? I don't mind going a little quicker, wrapping it up. JJ?
If you've got something to say, please.
So I'll wrap it up. And again, happy to email you guys these slides. Vacancy, the lowest it's been in recorded history for retail. Just the benefits of what we do. Quality of tenants. Our tenants are all business owners. Even if they're not required to clean up outside in the parking lot, when they park their car, they see trash, they're picking it up. This is their place where they earn their income. They take a lot of pride in it. During a recession, when we have national tenants, long-term, O'Reilly's signed a 15-year lease. I don't care if there's a recession in the next 5 years. O'Reilly's, they're there for 15 years. They cannot get out of that lease. Just easier to manage. My entire team is 2.5 people. $50 million of real estate we manage with 2.5 people. And we self-manage most of our properties. If you had $50 million of apartments, you need a leasing team, a maintenance team, and you're getting phone calls left and right, property managers. And the best is this is our underwriting spreadsheet. I've seen apartment spreadsheets with multiple tabs, and people massage the numbers because the deal doesn't work, so they keep playing with numbers until the deal does work. This is our entire underwriting. Happy to email anybody the spreadsheet. Last thing, I really wanted to take a minute to try to convince all of you to look at retail or office. Office right now is one of the best buying opportunities we've ever seen. Once in a generation, once in a lifetime opportunity to buy trophy office buildings for pennies on the dollar. So this is in Louisville, 16 office buildings that we bought for $3.5 million, or I think $48 a square foot, 70% occupancy, cash flowing on day one. So if this was in each of these buildings are 5,200 square feet. A 5,200 square foot apartment building, what would it cost? Let's say 6 units. Anybody? Let's say 300 or 400. Well, so we ended up buying these for $218,000 per building. The comps on all these identical buildings were already set at $400,000 and $500,000. The mistake this broker made is they packaged these all up because it was one owner, and they just wanted to sell them. So we bought them all for $218,000 per building. All we're going to do is break them up and sell them off individually. There's not that many buyers that want to pay $3.5 million, inherit 57 tenants on day one, but there's plenty of buyers that would buy a cash flowing building at a 10 cap for $500,000. So my last piece of advice for you guys is when you're looking at properties, look at mixed use. These are money makers because nobody wants them. Commercial people like me don't want mixed use. The residential people are too scared. Banks don't like them. Insurance companies don't like them, but they cash flow. Look at small retail mom and pop places. Where do you guys go for the pizza place, the dog groomer, the deli, the neighborhood shop down the street? Those are often very highly cash flowing because there's no out-of-state investor that's going to buy that. It's got to be somebody from the neighborhood that's going to buy them, and there's just not that many people that are buying retail. So I hope I open your horizons a little bit and look beyond multifamily, yeah? Guys, thank you for your time. Thank you, JJ and Chris.
Thank you, Ash. I learned a lot. That was excellent, that's very good. Our next speaker tonight would be Attorney Chris Finney, owner of the building. Robert De Niro killed 2 people on the roof, just so you know, on this building. It wasn't a very good movie, but
That is actually true. Walked up those stairs and killed 2 people on the roof. It's not Ash, it's Ash. Ash Patel. Very impressive. And a lifetime of learning in about 45 minutes there, guys. A lot of knowledge there. And I have had clients buy industrial properties like warehouses. How can that be? But some of them just absolutely crush it. I asked JJ, what do you want me to speak on tonight? He said anything. And I've spoken, I think, every time I've been here when you've had these seminars, so everybody's tired of hearing from me. But we've talked about how to make money and how to avoid expenses. But what I want to briefly talk about tonight is just the wonderful, good thing that the people who invest in housing are doing for our community. There is a cry, and there was a wonderful woman, something to end homelessness. Tiffany, that spoke a couple sessions ago, and it still impresses me, in part because this is the business model that my 3 sons and I have in real estate of providing low-income housing. And there's agencies, there's CMHA, there's just a crying need. There's not enough units at all. So our good free market economy motivating all of you to put your time, your brain power, and your money at risk to bring housing units into the market isn't just for your benefit, isn't just for the bankers and the appraisers and all that, and the lawyers. It's about making this a livable community. And by the way, if you do the math and say, let's just assume all real estate investors went away and we were going to do government supplied housing, there's not enough government money to provide all the housing. It doesn't exist. We need entrepreneurs to create those wonderful units that are code compliant and CMHA compliant to do that. And that message just keeps coming home to me as we create housing units, the good we're doing for our community. And you can look around and there's a lot of vacant buildings that need renovation, that need capital. And it's not just capital and renovation. And the other thing I want to tell you all is I've been counseling a number of investors, a lot of out-of-town investors in real estate. And the difference, in my opinion, between successful investors and people who lose money is getting it done, getting units into the market and quickly. If you buy a building, a 4-family, say, and you take 2 or 3 years, or you think you're going to take 2 or 3 years, and it turns into 5 or 6 years to get those units turned, you're losing money. If, on the other hand, you can get in 60 or 90 days and get those things fixed up and rented, you're doing typically very, very well. So figuring out the execution side of things, meaning you have the capital, you have the contractors, you have the willingness. I was counseling one of my sons who's new to the business the other day, how do I deal with this CMHA inspector? I said, you know what I do on a project? I've developed subdivisions, I've developed this building and others. The first thing I do is call the building inspector. They don't want to hear from you. But you say, I want to be your best whatever, real estate developer, your best builder. I'm going to comply with code. If you ever have a problem, here's my number, and make sure that I have the best quality in my building. They'll leave you alone. You'll never hear from them again because they don't ever get that call. They have people that dodge and bob and weave to avoid them. But I want code compliant units, and meeting code, somebody's told me, is the minimum standard for human occupancy. So it's not hard and it's not high. It's what we have to do. So we're doing a really wonderful thing by putting our capital, and all you are spending your summer evening here tonight, and you're putting your time, your ingenuity, your money at risk to do that, and I appreciate that. So that's my only message, JJ. Thank you all for coming. Oh, by the way, I do want to introduce my friend Emmanuel, by the way. So you guys all have to stand up, Emmanuel. Everybody's got to pick on my friend, come over here, Emmanuel. My new friend, Emmanuel. Emmanuel wants to get into the game here, okay? And we need to encourage him, and we need to educate him. So he's ready to roll with his first couple units, but this is the guy. He's the future of real estate investing right there. All right, that's all I got, JJ. Thank you.
I wanted to say hello to Shelley, too. She's from Paramount. She came in a couple minutes late, but I wanted to say hello. If anyone needs a property manager, she's with Paradigm, and she's in the corner there. So then we've got Fred left. He's going to talk about nuisance properties. Well, there you are. Okay.
My name's Fred Burkhardt. I'm out of Dayton. My company is Community Gain, and so help me when after I start, I will tell you I did not pay Mr. Finney a dime for his previous comments. I work exclusively in nuisance property. If you can't live in it, utilities are off for 6 or 7 months, I'm your guy. I know how to get them. I'll tell you a little story about how I got started in real estate. When I was in college back in 1966, my draft number was 4, so I went into the Air Force and I flew the front seat of an F-4. I got out of the Air Force, took my flight pay, combat pay, and separation pay, and bought 2 lots in Ocean Beach, California, about from here, a little further than the traffic light from the beach. So I'm 29 years old, I'm living at the beach, I've got 2 lots, one of them with 3 little cottages on them, and one of them vacant. I'm on it for about 12 years, and I get a call from a guy. He says he doesn't want to embarrass himself and doesn't want to insult me, but he'd like to make me an offer on my property. I'm thinking $60,000 or $70,000. Things have changed. He wanted to build high-rise condos. $1.2 million later, I made a sale. Now, I did not know how exactly to avoid paying 30% capital gains, but I had a member of a Lions Club that I was a member of who happened to be a tax attorney. He says, "Have you ever heard of 1031 exchanges?" No. I learned. Over a period of the next 15 years, I took 3 units and I owned 1,500 doors in Bend, Oregon. Unfortunately, my ex-wife got most of it. But I'm here to talk about nuisance property, and we both end up with the same kind of equipment. My company was started in 2019. I had been working as the director, the executive director of the Tri-Ohio Community Improvement Corporation, and I had found this little statute in the state of Ohio called ORC 3767.41. Everybody wants to know about that. How many people have heard of that? Come on, you don't count. The upshot of it is, it says, does it actually work? Voila. What it says essentially is it deals only with nuisance property, and it's a state statute that says owners can't have that. You don't need city permission. You don't need county permission. You can simply get yourself a good lawyer. Do you know anybody know a good lawyer that deals in real estate? Well, you find one of those, and you start looking for nuisance property. Now, again, I did not coordinate my conversations before this meeting tonight, but the reality is nuisance property drives down residential values. Nuisance properties, and I'm telling you what you all know, high blight, high crime. 17% of the fires that take place in the city of Dayton are caused in nuisance properties. There's a street called West Hudson. 65% of the street is boarded up. Can't live in it. So taking one isn't going to do you any good. You need to get yourself a street that's got a tipping point where 1 or 2 changes the quality of the street. It increases affordability in housing. Now, contrary a bit to what you've heard, housing-wise, the production is only accounting for, versus renovation, is only accounting for about a third of the need in terms of population growth and workforce. On July 9th this year, Ohio, according to CNBC, was rated as the #1 state for business in the country. It's the first time it ever happened. Why is that might be important? Let's see if we can do the math. Jobs need workers. Workers need housing. Most cities don't have any more land to build. And the stuff on the outside is difficult because you got to put in new infrastructure. And for those who don't know what that is, that's streets, gutters, curbs, sewers, gas, electric. All of that has to be done in order for housing to take place. This is a court-supervised process. I didn't make this up. Right now, I'm the receiver on 30 different properties. And I'll try to be diplomatic when I say this. I have had owners come up and give me a seriously bad time, and I have to explain to them that I sit upon the right hand of God the Father Almighty as receiver, and don't tick me off. One guy kept changing the locks. I had to explain to him that if he did it one more time, he could stay in the Gray Bar Hotel. He understood. Incidentally, I happen to be a Gemini, so you have friendly Fred and my evil twin Frank. No one likes Frank. And we operate on, again, it's a court-supervised process, which means it's not made up. You operate under the supervision of a judge, and you have to do your reporting. We operate on a flat rate cost. We deliver solid return on investment, and I'll go over those a little later. How does the community gain from improved housing? Neighborhoods are better, crime goes down, we'll go through all that. Local statutes can't do this. You can issue citations through the Code Enforcement Department as long as you want to, and it's not going to do a darn thing to improve housing because they can't make it happen. We can. We don't operate, again, on behalf of the city. I work with them. We make sure that the codes are kept clean. Whatever jobs are done, and they're done correctly, first time, every time. But we don't need their permission. Now, ORC 3767, to make it short, deals strictly with single-family, multifamily, mixed-use, or intended to be, and that is kind of fuzzy. If you find a commercial building that would work well as a conversion, you can make it work as long as you're dealing with residential property or residential uses. You'll find a large office building. There's one in downtown Dayton called the Center City Building. It's 26 stories and has this really cute little 10,000 square foot penthouse on top. That is a mixed-use building by definition. We can get that building for you for a flat rate. You'll just need $26 million to fix it. Now, that's not my game. I deal in smaller units. I like mixed use also. And because we're a 501c3, we take a share of our profits and put it back into the community. We hire kids in and around the projects we do. Probably one of the ones I enjoy the most was we had a cul-de-sac. We had 2 projects on it. And the city showed up and took 4 40-yard dumpsters of garbage off the street and put it in there. Okay. We were hiring 3 or 4 young men across the street to help us unload trailers. I bought them a burner phone, and I said, the next time you see a truck backing up, dumping stuff, take a picture of the license plate and the dumping. They did. Now, I'm not sure exactly how this happens, but you know what happened? Anybody want to guess? Dumping went down. Right. We were sending the pictures to the PD. and it works. Okay, our process is divided essentially into 4 parts. Part 1 is pre-acquisition. We do homework like most people. We do homework like that guy over there. We're Ash, correct? I have a master's in business administration, and probably one of my favorite tools in life is a spreadsheet, because I love to make them work, and I love to generate the data from them, because the data, quite honestly, is how I make decisions. I don't care. I'm sure you've heard the expression, I love it, I can't live without it, dealing with houses, but I can't buy it because the kitchen's the wrong color. No. Here's $50, go buy a gallon of paint. So we divide this into 4 parts. The first part is pre-acquisition. I know everything about that property from the day it was built. If there's a blueprint available to it, I've got it. If there's a history of the building, I check not only the people that are buying my buildings or going after my buildings, I check the people who used to have the building. I do background checks on them. I know who they are, where they're hiding, because in most cases, they're trying to hide because they don't want me to serve them. We generate what's called a preliminary judicial report, which is a light-duty title. And from that, we then make a decision as to whether or not the property is eligible to go forward in front of a judge. Bottom line, here's some criteria. It's got to be vacant for six months at minimum. It can't have changed hands for 5 years. I do that because every time I've had an owner show up and go, "Oh, Your Honor, I just got it." He got it 4 years ago. If you can't do something with a building in 4 years, you don't deserve to have it. I'm sorry, that was Frank speaking. So we get to know the building, and we get to know the background of the people who own it and the neighborhood. We're on close terms, not illegal terms. We're on close terms with local government. They know that if we get it, it's going to get fixed. So enforcement, in terms of code enforcement, is usually a little easier. That, and I give them a copy of the court order, which sort of outranks them. The second part is the initial hearing. This is always a challenge because of everything about this process. It's simple and easy. The tough part is getting in front of a judge. Why? First, you got to file. Second, you got to serve the owner at least twice by either certified mail or personally handing them the citation or the summons. That doesn't work. You then got to go to publication once a week for 6 weeks plus 30 days. Now, we're talking time here. And when that's done, another 6 or 8 weeks, and you might get in front of a judge. Now, I'm not 100% confident that that takes that long in Cincinnati, but I would be shocked if it doesn't. The old saying that the wheel of justice grinds finely, but grinds slowly but exceedingly fine is true. It takes forever. We get appointed receiver. We wait 30 days because the owner can appeal. So whatever you get a decision, count 30 days more, and it gets to be appealed. So we get to appeal the decision. We're now in charge of the property. Now, in that 30-day period, I work with my investor to secure the property. That means we board the windows up. Not a little bit. I mean, we board them up like you ain't going to get in. From the inside to the outside, not the outside. Anybody can take screws out. It's the difference when you're taking out a carriage bolt. So we get in. 30 days after we're in the property and secured, construction can begin. And this is where it is absolutely essential. You've waited a long time. Now, speed has to happen. Time is money. We have a 29-unit apartment building built in the 30s, yellow brick, gorgeous old place, original terrazzo floors, great. It has 29 units. Each one is going to take 30 days on a speed trip. So 29 times 30, 29 times is a long time. You're sitting on that kind of money. So Be prepared. This is not, well, let's see, well, I don't know, maybe we'll call in a New York fashion designer to see what colors would be nice. Get it painted off-white, flat or gloss, not gloss, satin. Get it painted, get the windows done, get the code enforcement people out, get them inspected, get the permits signed off, get it done. Don't go around doing stupid things. I have a client, and I hope I don't offend anyone. He's a minister, and he believes somehow God is going to intervene. Surprise. The objective is to get the job done. He has done everything he possibly can, particularly in terms of water. What is one of the big issues dealing with water in cities? The water rights go with the land. They don't go with the owner, which means you're responsible to the city or the water supplier for the water service. Okay, this gentleman told me that he had done everything by code, and he had a plumber that would have done it. And I said, well, did you replace any of the pipe? Oh, no. So I went out just on a routine inspection, and I found about 20 yards of peck in the backyard. And somehow I have a feeling that the previous owner hadn't left it there. So we get the renovation all done. You have to pull the permits you have to apply for and pull permits within the first 60 days. Hard stop. I check. Once that's done, you're now in business to go forth and conquer. Go right ahead, sir. So we wrap it up. We then apply to go back to court. For Pete's sakes, keep your receipts, or at least paid invoices. Why? Because you're going to go into this with a budget, and that budget's going to tell you something, theoretically what the building is going to cost to renovate, and you're working for the court, remember. So if you're lying about it, there's a high likelihood you're going to get found, because I'm responsible for checking your documentation. My attorneys check documentation. So I guess what I'm saying is you try to play it really squeaky clean. Now that does not mean that you can't do some work yourself, but you cannot call yourself a plumbing contractor because you got a wrench for Christmas. Okay, my gizmo. Maybe. There we go. So how much does it cost? To get the property into court, it's $5,500. To file all of the paperwork and to follow up completely, it's $15,500. It's paid before we go to court. I'm not going to court unless the attorneys are paid. Goes all the way through the rehab. Then in the tail end of it, we then close the deal. We go back to the court. We tell the judge it's completed. We show him the invoices, paid invoices. It gets all done legally. Show all of the permits that have been completed, and we get paid the $9,000 when I transfer the property to this fine gentleman right here who was introduced to you earlier. And that allows me as receiver to give him a free and clear receiver's deed. Now, but wait, there's a little bit more. That property had $50,000 in back taxes. Oops. 3767 allows the receiver to petition the court to abate the back taxes, and it is common that the county allows that. We'll do that. In fact, I only take properties that have $10,000 or more back taxes because it's too easy to come up with $5,000 or $6,000. So I make it prohibitive, and so the owner would have to come up with the money. So what happens if the owner does show up? No big deal. They've got to pay for all the acquisition, $30,000, all the rehab, subtotal, add 18%, and that's a statutory number. It comes out of the state. And if there's back taxes, they've got to pay for all those, and they have to pay for them now. We're not going to finance it. They got to pay for it now. I've never lost a property that way. I've lost some back at the front end where an owner will show up and buy us out, but I've never lost the property at the end of the deal. So, does it work? Here's the four case studies. This is a 4-bedroom or a 4-plex, 2-bedroom, 1 bath, full basement. We got it, renovated it, $190,000. Sold for $250, net $55 or 31.5%. A bungalow. This is 950 square feet. This place needed paint, powder, and a change of wallpaper. Oh, it also had to be emptied, which was the real challenge. Sale price $162, $57,000 net, 38.4%. This is a cute little place. This was really a nice little house right over by the VA Center in Dayton. And this particular property, 3-bedroom, bath and a half, it's on a slab. Full acquisition and rehab, $135K, sold at $186.5, net $51, so forth. This one is a joy, and I'm lying to you. The owner, young lady that, speaking of young ladies, hello, young lady that owns it, is an entertainer, and she has a lawyer that I'm surprised hasn't been disbarred. And she has done everything she possibly can. Our last court, it is fully renovated. The sale price when it closes will be $387. It has been a year and a half to get the job done on it, but it is done. And unless there's divine intervention, we'll have the authority to sell it to our client. And I had some really serious conversations with the divine here shortly, and he told me that wasn't going to happen. And if you believe that, I've got this really nice mixed-use unit. But the upshot of it is that's pretty much the way that the system works. Now, I mentioned this earlier, and I added this just like earlier this morning. Found out that place to do business, Ohio's #1 in the country. You've probably noticed a lot of companies locating here, primarily in commercial and industrial. They all require workers. Workers need housing, and there's at least as many vacant properties as is needed. So all things being equal, that's essentially what I do, and we do it at a flat rate, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. Sir?
Is it possible for somebody to buy a nuisance property and petition the court themselves and not go through the receiver? Meaning if I saw a blighted property, a vacant property, can I petition the court and say, look, nothing's being done with it, and I just want to buy it? I want to go for it? Or does it have to go through a receiver?
Okay, let me clarify something. This is not a real estate transaction. This is a court action. So once I'm in court, appointed receiver, the answer to your question is no. That doesn't mean I won't entertain it. Doesn't mean my client, investor, won't say, well, what's your deal? But generally speaking, no. I don't go to court without an investor already on the books. Now, you can buy the property. Fact is, I have a agent-owned real estate office that periodically goes through all of the nuisance property and inquires if they want to sell it, usually before I take it. But that's essentially the answer to your question directly is no. Other questions?
So you said you go into it with an investor, so is the investor the one that's paying for the rehab of it, and then they're going to take ownership at the end?
That's correct.
Okay.
I'll do an example. You, sir.
Yes.
You're my client.
Okay.
There's a property. It's nuisance. I'm appointed. You and I have a contract. I go to court. I'm the appointed receiver. I have a contract with you to do all the rehab. You get all the rehab done, and we take the total cost of the rehab, the acquisition, any soft costs, architectural, engineering. If it's a larger building, you're probably going to need fire suppression, that kind of thing, and subtotal that at 18%, and that's what the owner of the property is going to have to pay, plus the back taxes, and we will abate the back taxes as far as you're concerned. And then I give you I get permission to sell it, and I sell it to you, and you get a free and clear title of all liens, and free and clear of taxes, and it's yours.
Okay, so what does abating the taxes do? You said you abate the taxes.
Yeah.
So that means you get rid of them?
Correct.
Okay, not like delay them?
Well,
Okay,
no, they're not. No, we don't delay them.
okay, you just get rid of them?
Now,
Okay,
if the county treasurer is being difficult, if you're taking forever to get the property done,
Right.
you can be charged for the taxes on the property while you are handling it.
okay.
Now, that only happens in Greene County.
So what's the advantage of, as an investor going with you on say it's a commercial property? Do you do commercial properties?
If it looks like I might be able to put a bedroom in it,
Okay,
I mean,
so
it has to
have some housing.
it has to be single-family, multifamily, or intended to be housing
Okay,
in some manner, shape, or form.
gotcha, okay,
And we've done that.
okay. So like, what's the most number of units you've done in a multifamily?
2 buildings of 20.
So 40 units sold?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I do not, how many of you are first-time investors? Okay. How many have done 5 or 6 properties? Okay. I do not recommend going after 40 units. Bottom line, it takes forever. Our costs, I think I had a number up here on that. I'm sorry, it's coded. You can't read it because it's a top secret. Our cost per square foot for renovation, and I've taken the entire amount of money that's been spent, divided it by the total square footage that has been covered, and our cost per square foot for renovation is $74 a square foot. So if you've been doing this kind of thing, $74 a square foot is not too bad. I'll cheat and look at this one. Our project usually produces a minimum of on average, 32.4% positive cash flow. We've done 64 properties, over 150 units. In the 5 years we've been in business, I'm going to quote an economic impact analysis, and I can do that because I'll tell you that in a minute. We have contributed $22 million in economic impact, direct, indirect, and induced impact for the county of Montgomery. In a former life, I was the department head for the city of Fresno for housing, community, and economic development. And that included code enforcement, part of planning, and sanitation. So this is a real product. It's a real service. It's a state law. If you have a pen, write it down. ORC 3767.41. It's the law. I'm not making it up. If Chris was still here, he would say, shake his head yes, because he does it.
So
Sir.
Do you work in any counties other than Montgomery? Like, would you do any work down here?
I have offices in Dayton, Cincinnati, Columbus, Akron, and Toledo.
Okay.
Actually, I'll do it. If you find a place, it's a state law.
Right.
We usually work in larger metro areas because that's where you have a lot of the product that is built before 1950. That seems to be a magic year. 1950 is, and that kind of thing. So, any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
What would you require from an investor on a particular property?
Okay, we have criteria. The criteria says you can't have back taxes on any property you own or control. You can't have code enforcement issues on any property you own or control. We're not trading one slumlord for another. That's pretty much, you've got to be able to prove you got the money. And that can be a letter from the bank, financial institution. It's pretty straightforward.
So with the title transfer to you as a receiver, and then when the property's totally renovated and completed, it's transferred to the,
Title transfers from me to you, and the owner is out of the picture. The title does not transfer from the owner. The owner has lost the title.
So how do you get your liens for the properties as well as your investors?
How do I get, that's classified. Again, I'm kind of a data freak. I have every metro county of 100,000 people or more. I have every rental owner in that county. I have tracked every sale of every property since 2011. I have that all in data. I know who bought it, where they bought it, what they paid for it, and how long they've had it. Not that fun thing for me is a new spreadsheet. That, and I have an enormous amount of data on the cloud. Other questions?
What happens to the mortgage?
That's a criteria for the property. We do not take a property that has a mortgage on it.
Okay, it's gotta be,
Yeah. It's got to be free and clear.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, we don't mess with that. Now, I have had a couple of mortgage companies, usually small banks, that have donated the property to me. I don't go looking for it. I can only market so much. But they will do it. I had a really nice 12-acre farmhouse and barn. The barn was sort of sitting like this, but it went well for barn board. So, yeah. Any other questions? Oh, hi. Kentucky does not have an Ohio law. Now, I will share with you that of the states that we're aware of, Missouri has a very, very similar law. There's a couple of other pieces that have to take place. And the country of Canada has a national law that can be applied to a province, providing the city or the jurisdiction subscribes to what the province has said, which is what the Canadian government has said. So Canada has some interesting possibilities. I met with the city manager of province, not Ontario, Ontario, province, or the city of London. They were very much interested in seeing if this could be done. It can be, but there's going to have to be legislative work to make it happen. And I gave up fixing government. Any other questions?
So do you get that 18%? Is that what?
No.
So what do you get paid out of?
I get paid out of the upfront money.
Okay. So who's getting that 18%? Is that the?
Nobody gets it. That's just an ability to mark it up to cover your costs. So you have real numbers,
Yeah.
invoices paid and what have you. Then if you're borrowing the money, let's say you're borrowing at 12,
Right.
the 18%, you have the statutory authority to add 18% to your costs, so that if the owner shows up, they have to pay that.
Oh, okay. That's what that's for.
That's what that's for.
Okay.
It's a CYA.
Yeah. So you make 18% on the deal if they actually want to purchase it.
Yeah.
They actually do. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Sending these slides via email?
I'm sorry.
Will you be sending these slides to us?
If you'd like,
Yes.
I'll give you. I have brochures and information like that. If you need to get a copy of the slides, I'll be happy to send them to you. I'll give you my card afterwards because I think we need to move along.
I sent you all the emails too.
Yeah. Okay. Or you can go to my website and look at it. I'll get you what you need. Anything else? Yes, sir.
Are your services provided at what point during like a sheriff's sale?
I don't care about a sheriff's sale.
You don't care about that sale?
No. Now, we won't take a property that's listed on the sheriff's sale. We won't go after a property that's listed with the land bank, and we won't go after a property that has a tax lien on it. We're looking for stuff that is down, dirty, free and clear, and the only people who are going to contest it, it may be the owner if we can find them. And I do look for them very hard. If you have our ways. Any other questions? If not, I'm going to hang around, so if you need to talk to me.
Like reach you, like where's you have contact for a card or something?
I'm right here, sir.
Well, I mean after this meeting.
Silver-tongued devil, you talked me into it.
Look. See, thank you, sir.
Was that close enough? Was that quick? Was that quick enough?
That's awesome, man. You got it.
Any other questions? Again, thank you very, very much for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. That was nice. Yeah. See if she gets it quicker than him.
Yeah.
No, that one was faster.
He knows
We're going to wrap this up pretty quick. I'm just going to give you a couple more points real quick. It's interesting. I'm working on a 179 unit as a real estate broker in Columbus, Ohio. I'm also working on a 12 unit here in Cincinnati. And by far, the 12 unit's a lot harder than the 179. What you're going to find out is real estate isn't always about properties and profits. It's about personalities. The personalities of the owner, the personalities of the buyer. And that really becomes a factor in the equation a lot. The only thing I was going to say before we left is to give you the best advice I can give you about putting in offers. Every week when I have my real estate, I own real estate, and I also brokered as a real estate broker. But every week I get about 30 offers in my inbox for properties. And on these offers, because the advice when you go to seminars and whatnot is put in offers, put in offers, put in offers, and that is really important. But you should also put in who you are, a copy to your LinkedIn account if you have one, a copy to your Facebook account if you have one, a list of the properties that you currently own. If you can get a pre-approval letter, now getting a pre-approval on a commercial loan is sometimes hard. Some banks won't do it in advance. But what you want to really convey to the owner directly or any real estate person you're working with is to really show that you're ready, willing, and able to buy this $1 million property or this $2 million property or something. But just to send a blanket LOI is worthless, I'm telling you, because the first question out of the owner's mouth is going to be, who is this person? Do they have the money? So sending in a blind LOI is a huge waste of time. It's a gross waste of time unless you have supplemental documents that show who you are and that you're able to buy it. So if you're just submitting blank LOIs with like who you are without any information, your offer will be mentioned, but it's also going to be laughed at because it shows that you haven't prepared enough to show your ability to purchase it. So, and if you need help with any of that, let me know. Some investors actually have seen real estate bibliographies of who they are because they may not know who you are. You might think they know who you are, but they may not. So I've seen some very extensive real estate biographies of, okay, this is how we started in real estate, and it gives your story. These are the properties that we have owned and will own, and that sort of thing. And that's real powerful. So the offer, the letter of intent is really great, or a purchase agreement, it's really great. But who you are and your ability to buy, or your group's ability to buy, is just as critical. Because honest to God, they're going to laugh at you. Who is this person? John Smith, Chicago, Illinois. Who are you? Where's your? And so you want to include who you are and your ability to purchase when you submit a purchase agreement or a LOI. So sending in a blank LOI is a waste of time unless you have some information of who you are. So is there any other questions? We've got, I think all the speakers are here but Chris. Anything for anybody, for me, for anybody? I've got about a $3 million portfolio myself, besides being a real estate broker, and Ash is still here and Fred's still here. So does anyone have any other questions or anything?
I have a question for you, Ash. You talked about treating your people that work for you, well. So what do you mean by that? Like, how do you differentiate that?
Let's ask them.
Yeah, so when I was starting out, I was buying vacant buildings, half-built buildings. There was one lender that took a chance on me. I didn't care if I had to overpay for the interest rate, for the fees, the point, whatever, right? I didn't care as long as they got the deal done. So for years, I'm cool overpaying for all my loans because when I finally got a track record, now I can go back, lower the rates, but still those times, even today, when we find a crazy deal that might be vacant, but it's such a great deal, I need a lender that knows me, knows my track record, and I can call in that favor, right? So that's why. Same thing with the title companies. Same title company for 15 plus years, where if I need something closed within 2.5 weeks, they'll bend over backwards to do it. Same thing with the electricians, the plumbers, everything, right?
Okay. So you're basically overpaying them for the most part.
If I had to, yes, but just treat them like partners.
You're treating them like partners, so you're paying them well.
Yeah, it mostly comes down to overpaying.
That's what I'm just
Yeah,
trying to
fair.
understand what you meant by- okay.
Yep.
Any other thoughts, questions, comments? Did you have something else, Fred?
Yes, in terms of how you can treat people, we have a practice that if we have a family that has a job that could justify the price payment, we will work out a conditional use on the property so that they can lease it, purchase it. And we put the money away so at the end of the same time, they've been qualified by the bank to buy the property, and what we have for them is their down payment.
Cool. Any other thoughts, questions, anything concerning real estate at all?
JJ, how do we connect with you?
You want my card? It's over here. I meant to introduce Jamie as well. Jamie is also a property manager. I'm sorry, until he got up, I completely forgot. He was a little faster, I know, but yeah, Jamie Collier does. He's with 4th Street Management. He does property management as well. So, any other questions? Any other thoughts? Okay, you can hang out 10, 20, 30 minutes here. There's food, there's drinks, no charge. So, whatever you need.